Today AMC released the official trailer for The Walking Dead Dead City, so today I'll be breaking that down and explaining it. So we start off the trailer with Negan and Maggie on their way to Manhattan. They take a boat there because Manhattan is basically on an island. And Negan asks Maggie where are they going, and she says Manhattan. So it seems that Maggie just brings Negan along with her and not telling him where they're going. Maybe in the start of the show they don't know where did Herschel go, where did he get kidnapped. So they get that information later on in the show. Now we get this amazing shot of the city, and it looks like the cars are all around the place, and it's just a hellhole, and it seems like a lot of walkers are on the ground. And there's, of course, because the population of New York is much bigger, and of course the walkers are going to be a bigger problem in New York. But looking at this city, looking at this shot specifically, and even later on in the trailer, it looks like that this show was heavily inspired by Dying Light 1 and 2 because of all the greenery growing on the buildings, and the way that the buildings look and the way that the cars are scattered. I don't know why, it just reminds me of Dying Light 1 and 2. And then Negan asks Maggie, what are they doing here? What is the reasoning for coming to Manhattan? And then Maggie does explain that, oh yeah, Herschel was kidnapped. Now, again, it does seem like Maggie brought Negan here without Negan knowing why did they come here. So, again, it could be that Maggie's holding off that the Croat is a former savior or whatnot, but she does explain that, yeah, Negan does know the Croat. And also, as you can see in the shot here, it looks like that the Brooklyn Bridge or the Manhattan Bridge, I can't make heads or tails of it because the trailer is so dark. But I assume it's the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's broken. So it does seem like when the outbreak happened, and then the US government probably bombed the Brooklyn Bridge to avoid any more walkers coming through. Now Maggie does explain to Negan that they were raided a few weeks back. Herschel and Maggie were raided a couple of weeks back, and Herschel got kidnapped during that raid. And then this is the moment where Negan does find out that Herschel was kidnapped. Now we get this beautiful shot of the city, and there's really nothing much to say here, except that they're really capitalizing on the fact that this show is set in New York and Manhattan. Now we've been getting this shot over and over again in a lot of promotional material where Negan is wanted in New York. Now the person that's holding up this wanted poster is he looks like a bounty hunter of some sorts, like the typical cowboy bounty hunter looking for his bounty. Now, why is Negan wanted? The Croat could have put these signs up. He could have, gave this message that whoever caught Negan or whoever killed Negan, they would get some sort of reward out of it, like resources and food, because, there's no currency at the end of the day. Now, that could be the case, or Negan probably did something within that 5-year span of the ending of season 11, and, people are just after him. Now we get this one shot of just a bunch of walkers on the ground, and this is on the streets, of course, right? And this is just one area, and you could just imagine how many are in New York and Manhattan alone. So it'd be really interesting to see that. And what this reminds me of is Days Gone, of how the hordes, like the freaks used to be, that they used to be in massive hordes, and this is what this show reminds me of. So it looks like that this show is taking inspiration from a lot of things. Now we actually get this first good look of the Croat. Before in promotional material it wasn't all that clear, it was blurry, the resolution wasn't all that great, but we actually get a good look now, and he looks sick, not gonna lie. And in this shot of the trailer, Negan asks Maggie, how does he fit into all of this? Why does she even need him in the first place? And Maggie does tell Negan that he knows him. Negan knows the Croat, and he was a former savior. So again, we have to see how does Maggie find out that he was a former savior. If while taking Herschel, he told Maggie that, I used to work for Negan before, and I've seen you before, Negan killed your husband, and I was there. Just imagine if they revealed that the Croat was in season 7 episode 1 where Negan killed Glenn and Abraham, and the Croat was in that circle where, like, in the line, right, he was looking, and he was one of the saviors that were there at the time. So again, it would be really cool to call back to the past of The Walking Dead. Now we get this other shot of the Croat, and it looks like he's wearing a hat, right, covering his ear. And now again, like how I said in my last video, that Negan probably took his ear as punishment, like how Negan did with Dwight by burning his face, right? Now, again, in this shot, in the trailer, the Croat does say to his assistant that Negan is here. Now, it looks like everything was pre-planned. It looked like he wanted Negan here, right? So why would he want Negan here, and how would he even know that Negan's here, or Negan's even alive, or if he's even in New York, right? Now, my best conclusion to this is that the Croat probably kidnapped Annie, right? And that's probably going to be a plot twist of some sorts, or, you know, because, like, again, why not show Annie in this trailer? I don't know, why wouldn't they do that? And it looks like everything's revolved around them getting back Herschel, but I do think that the Croat took Annie because he's specifically targeting Negan, and he wants Negan to come there. Now over here we see Negan and Maggie hiding from one of the Croat's men. It seems like that Negan and Maggie are closer to Herschel now, and they are on the verge to finding him, but, you know, the Croat's people are hunting them down, because of course Negan is wanted and the Croat wants Negan. So, but you know what interests me the most here is that it looks a lot like CRM attire. And again, like how I said in my previous video, that the Croat might be connected to the CRM, and, you know, they might have gotten these helmets and these suits from the CRM. Who knows, right? Now in the scene here, we see that Negan and Maggie, they bump into this group, they get cornered, and, you know, they think that they're about to shoot them, but, you know, they end up working with them. Now, these people, they are obviously against the Croat because, you know, if they're working with Negan and Maggie, of course they're going to be against the Croat. And they have like these homemade weapons. It looks like drill machines. I'm not too sure, right? But yeah, it's pretty cool because, you know, it seems like that they might help Negan and Maggie find Herschel, right? Now, in this scene right here, we see that the same group, they're actually explaining to Negan and Maggie that once you get on the island, there's no way to get off. Now, this could mean many things. This could mean that, you know, because the vast amount of walkers that are on the ground, you know, there's no way to get out, there's no way to get to the bridge, or there's no way to get to the boats, or it could just mean that the Croat does not allow new visitors to leave, and, you know, they become prisoners of his. Now in this scene right here, we actually see that walkers are enclosed in this kind of tube, this giant tube filled with water. And what this reminds me of is that in season 3, where the governor, it was revealed that he had heads in jars, right? So, you know, it could be like a little cute callback to the governor, right? The Croat could act like the governor, how he ruled Woodbury, right? Or it could mean that the Croat is doing some experiments, right? Because, again, if this is just like a reference to the governor, that's pretty cool, not gonna lie. But, you know, this could also be experiments that the Croat is doing on walkers. Now over here we actually see that Herschel has been kept hostage by the Croat, and it looks like that the Croat is threatening his life, or he might be torturing him, or he's about to torture him. Right, and the aesthetic of this place kind of looks like where Negan and Maggie were when they were hiding from his men. So again, like how I said before, they could be very close to Herschel, but then the Croat takes him some other place. Now over here we actually see that the Croat has an arena, right? It looks like that he makes people fight walkers. It's either life or death, right? And it's probably for people's enjoyment, or the people that are with him, or maybe the Croat even has a community, and like how the governor did again in season 3 and 4, where he actually made an arena where people would fight walkers and they would fight each other to the death. So again, this could be a little callback to the governor again, right? So again, we have this other shot of the arena, and, you know, it really does seem like that how the person from the new group said to Negan and Maggie that once you get on the island, you can't get off. Maybe once you get on the island, then you're forced to fight in this arena for the Croat's enjoyment and his amusement, right? So that's why he holds them prisoner, and he makes them fight in these arenas against walkers or against other prisoners. Now over here we see that Negan is actually ziplining, so it seems like with the vast amount of walkers, the only way for transportation for people in Manhattan and New York is ziplining, because the amount of walkers on the ground, you know, it's just impossible to get out of that. So, you know, it is very clever, and again, this reminds me of Dying Light 2, right, where you could zipline and stuff like that, and I hope I could see Negan parkour around Manhattan. Now this scene's particularly really interesting because Maggie and Negan are getting into a fight, and Negan actually pulls a knife on Maggie's throat. Now this can mean many things. This can mean that Maggie probably said something about Annie's death, potentially, or she probably knows something about Annie's death, who knows, right? But, you know, again, what puts them in this situation, I really want to see that.
Now, this is the most interesting part about this trailer, and this is the thing that got me really hyped, is that this walker is running and parkouring, right? Again, like Dying Light. So, you know, this could genuinely be like a variant, or it could be the same variant from World Beyond Season 2, like the running walkers, right? And also, this does look like those walkers that the Croat had in that tube. So again, it could be, it's most likely CRM related. I can't even say could be CRM related. This is definitely CRM related. I have a feeling it's CRM related, and you know, you just don't have walkers jumping and running and doing parkour and stuff like that. So this is probably the thing I'm most excited about for the show. Now in this scene over here, we actually see that Maggie says that there's one way out, and that looks like it's through the sewage system. Right, so you know, they're probably gonna go through the sewage system, try getting out of the island, or try getting out of like wherever the Croat's holding them. And this looks like a subway tunnel by the looks of it, so you know, they could go through the subway tunnel into the sewage system. Now, probably the most exciting part about this trailer is this mutated walker. It looks like 2-3 walkers merged together and just created this monstrosity, right? It looks like something out of like Resident Evil, right? It looks like, you know, the Tyrant, right? So, you know, again, it looks like that they're doing something new, and it looks like that they're getting inspiration from a lot of games, right? So it looks like something out of like Resident Evil, some type of experiment by the Croat, or just like walkers that are just stuck in like the sewage system of New York, and they somehow got mutated and they got giant, right? So this is super exciting, and you know, I really want to see this, and it actually does look like that they're straying away from like the normal walkers and actually trying something new with it, which is very exciting, and it really sets this show apart from The Walking Dead. Now that's it for today's video, and I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked the trailer breakdown that I did for The Walking Dead Dead City. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I know this video came out pretty late. It's because I actually started the recording when the trailer came out, but you know, just a lot of stuff has been going on, and you know, I just wasn't able to get it out the same day. But you know, now I'm able to actually get it out. I'm able to finish the recording and editing. So I hope you guys liked the video. Again, like, share, and subscribe, and you know, stay tuned for more Walking Dead content, because there's a lot more I'm cooking up. So thank you for watching.